it doing it? Oh my god, it's doing it. Hello. My name is Joe and welcome to my YouTube channel. Some of you may know me from TikTok where I go under the name Joe Reads, but I've always found TikTok a little bit restrictive. It's very short form, so it will be nicer, I think, to talk about things a bit more broadly and at a bit more length, like I can do on here. And today is very exciting because I am going to be ranking the 2023 Booker shortlist. The shortlist is really random this year, really eclectic. There are some real curveballs in here, so I am really excited to talk about it. In sixth place for me is Western Lane by Chetna Maru. This concerns Gopi, who is an 11-year-old squash player. There is nothing inherently wrong with this book. It's very melancholy, it's very quiet, it's very slow, it's all the things you think I would enjoy, apart from the sports part. I don't like sports at all. But it's just very meh. It never really coalesces into anything significant for me. I just found it a bit bland. Maru is quite a talented writer, and I think this is one of those cases where there is a disconnect between the talent of the writer and their ability to tell an interesting story. Because the prose is lovely, it's very well written. The problem for me was there is almost no semblance of a plot in this book, which is fine, it's literary fiction, that is very common, but there's also no interesting characters in this book. I found all of the characters to be very, very one-dimensional. And it's a shame because I was really ready to love this book. I love the cover. I think the cover is amazing. And from what I'd heard, it's about grief and sisterhood and the struggle of just being a teenager and not quite being good enough to be an adult yet. And I should have really enjoyed that, but its delivery just did not excel for me. In fifth place for me is This Other Eden by Paul Harding. This concerns an island called Apple Island where a rogue group of castaways of various ethnicities have ended up. This is one of those books where I had to keep reminding myself that it's fiction. This is a work of fiction. It's not real, but it feels so heavily researched, so well written. It felt real. It felt like a real story to me. It's about how this island in the 1800s is trying to be cleansed by civilization, and by the end of the book, the US government just comes in and destroys this community of ex-slaves. It's about how the world is just brutally intolerant to people and things that it doesn't understand, and it doesn't align with, or it doesn't sympathize with. I think it's a really poignant piece of literature, but I just found it very cold, and I felt like I was at an arm's length from the author. It's one of those books that I can highly appreciate, and I fully agree with everything the book is trying to say, but I just felt like the book wouldn't allow me to love it. In fourth place for me is The Bee Sting by Paul Murray. This concerns a family in Ireland, and everything is just going absolutely wrong for this family. The dad's business is failing, the mum is being leered at by a load of people in town and is having to sell her jewellery to keep the family going. The daughter has turned to binge drinking, and the son is being blackmailed by the local bully. There's a lot to appreciate in this book, there really is. It's really, really well written. It really plays with the form and punctuation. There's a whole section in this book from the point of view of the mum that has no punctuation apart from exclamation marks, which, you know, I can understand. It's very experimental, and I think it worked to really get us into the mind of this character, but man, it was a bit difficult to read. But this book is so long. This book is over 600 pages long. It is an epic. And do I think it needs to be that long? In short, no. No, I don't. I really think if you want a book to be this long, you really have to justify it being this long. And this book did not justify its own length to me at all. Couple that with, I really just don't like authors using the F slur, like at all. I don't like it. I don't like it, and that is in this book. Couple that with that. Yeah, I liked this book. I didn't dislike it, I liked it. But I just don't think it was like, I didn't think it was great. I did like how this book really showed how lying and keeping secrets from your loved ones and your family members can really do more harm than good. I thought this book really illustrated that point well, and I think it really, really excels at its character work. All these characters were fully fleshed out, believable people. It's really, really well written. There's just too much of it. That was my main problem. If I Survive You by Jonathan S. Coffrey tells the story of a family who settle in Miami in the 1970s. It is third place in the list for me. Each chapter in this book follows multiple POVs from the perspective of each member of the family, but we mainly follow Trelawney, who is the youngest son in the family. It's about his relationship with his family members, his mum, his dad, and his brother, but it's also mainly about his relationship with his race. It's about how he comes to terms with his own race in regards to today's society and how society treats people of colour. It's really well written and very, very relevant, I think. I do think that we should have been focused more on the main character more instead of going off on these little tangents. I would have liked the book to just focus on him throughout. I understand why Escoffery would have put these in, but to me, I thought the book would have had a tighter focus and felt more pointed if we had just stayed with one character the whole time. But I can't deny that it's really well written, and when we are in this character of Trelawney's head, it's really, really good. I really liked it. In second place for me is Study for Obedience by Sarah Bernstein. This is about a woman who goes to look after her brother, but then gets stuck in the town he lives in where she doesn't speak the local language. It's absolutely stunningly written. The prose is so well crafted, so well crafted. It's got this wonderful, dream-like, almost horror feel to it. The book is concerned with obedience, as the title suggests, specifically obedient women. The narrator begins the book very subservient, very obedient, but as the book carries on, she becomes a little bit more deviant. It's also very much a book about communication. The narrator can't communicate with the locals of the village, and her musings go off on weird and convoluted tangents. It's really well written and really well crafted. I really liked it, and it's something I've thought about quite a lot since finishing it. And in first place for me is Prophet's Song by Paul Lynch. I absolutely loved this book. It concerns an alternate Ireland where the country is slowly falling into totalitarianism and a mother is just trying to keep her family safe and together. It's stunningly written. It's so well crafted. It reads like poetry sometimes. Again, we're kind of playing with punctuation. This book has no speech marks, which is not super uncommon, but it also has no paragraph breaks. The text is just like wall-to-wall text. We've got like section breaks, but then we have like absolutely no paragraph breaks at all. But I think that totally makes sense with the state of this book. Everything is happening very quickly. It's very quickly descending into chaos for this woman, and we feel that as we read this book. It's also, I think, just really, really relevant to today. It's about constantly living in fear. It's a very bleak, very dark book, but I think it's very human and really important, and I hope it wins. It's my favourite of the list. It was my favourite of the list when it was on the long list, and it's my favourite of the list now it's on the short list, and I really hope it wins. So that is my ranking of the Booker 2023 shortlist. Have you read any of these? Have you read the whole list? If so, what is your favourite? We know what mine is. It's Prophet's Song. I hope it wins. I really like it. This is my first video on this channel, so please do like and subscribe. I'm hoping to start doing these more regularly. I'm hoping to make more long form content and just talk more about books. Find another place on the internet where I can talk about books.